Good evening. My name is Jarvis Richardson. This is kind of a new format for me. We're on the show called Meet the Candidates. You may normally see my face on Common Ground. So this is a new experience for me, but I'm excited about my guest. And my guest today is Mr. Dayne Wiley. How you doing today, Mr. Wiley?
I'm very good. Thank you, Jarvis.
Good. I'm glad to finally meet you and get an opportunity to hear what things you have in store for our community, for our city. I guess I want to kind of start off first asking you about your background. Where did you grow up at, and where were you born at?
I was born and raised right here in Flint.
Okay.
My family's been in this area for a long time. I now have 2 young kids myself. We're in the same neighborhood, raising them that I grew up in. They're the 5th generation in my family to live in Flint. My father's family came here when my grandfather Walling got assigned to a Free Methodist church in Oak Park on the north side. He pastored there for a number of years. My mother's father, my grandfather, came here before the Great Depression. He went to Lowell and was the first in my family to attend Flint Central High School. He graduated in 1935. I graduated from Flint Central in 1992.
Okay, wow. So that makes us close to the same age because I graduated from Northwestern in 1993.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about your educational background. After you grew up here and you graduated from Central, what did you do after that?
I had the opportunity to attend Michigan State, so I'm a Spartan.
You're Spartan, okay.
Go green and white.
Okay.
I came just before that great NCAA team, so all that was just getting started with Mateen Cleaves and Charlie Bell.
Okay.
Before as I was leaving, they were arriving, so I got to watch that from a distance. But real proud to be a part of that Spartan tradition and be a part of that Flint East Lansing connection. I had the privilege when I was there at Michigan State to win a Rhodes Scholarship. I'm the only person from Flint who's won a Rhodes Scholarship. So like President Bill Clinton, I got to go and study 2 years at Oxford. I studied a year in London. So I earned my bachelor's degree at Michigan State. I earned a second bachelor's in history at the University of Oxford, and then a master's in urban affairs at the University of London before my wife and I moved back to the United States and lived in Washington, D.C. for a couple years.
Okay. So how did you get broken into the field of politics? What kind of got you started, or what even began your passion for politics?
I've always been committed to community work. My parents are both teachers, so grew up in a household where the community really was important to all of us, and I saw them involved not only in the classroom but in the community through the schools. And I was able to participate in a lot of community service projects myself. I was one of the first classes of Michigan's AmeriCorps when I was there at Michigan State. So that's actually when I learned that people could not just do community service in their extra time on top of their job, but there were people who made their whole life doing community organizing and working for the community as a career, as a vocation. And that's what I felt like my calling was in those years, was to do whatever I could for local communities. So I worked in that AmeriCorps program for the 2 years I was at Michigan State and worked with Lansing residents in their neighborhoods. So even though I was a student at Michigan State, I got to work in Lansing and be a part of the turnaround of that city under former Mayor Hollister.
Okay.
And that was the beginning for me of realizing how important it is for people to be involved, in their own communities. Now, the first political campaign I worked on was in the summer of 1998, and it was between my 2 years at Oxford and my year in London. Flint has always been my home, no matter where I've lived. So in between those 2 programs, I wanted to come back home for the summer. And I was looking for something that I could do, something different before I went back to school. And it was suggested to me by a friend that I get involved in Congressman Dale Kilde's campaign.
Wow.
So I ended up being his Genesee County field coordinator for his reelection campaign in 1999, and had the privilege to fly home from London for 7 days to help with the Get Out the Vote effort in November. So I got a full taste of what it took to win a campaign and what it means to serve as a public official. Congressman Kildee is one of the great leaders that this city has ever seen, and I learned a lot from him about integrity and commitment to the community and human dignity, all the things that he stands for. It's a real privilege to learn from him how to be a public servant.
Well, I could only imagine just having that type of rapport and that type of experience, especially all of the travel that involved and the different sides of the community that you had an opportunity to see, coming back to your hometown to experience that and take that in after having been over in Lansing and after having been overseas. That's a lot of experience. So what brought you back to Flint? You've been a little bit everywhere.
Right.
You know, you've been away from the United States. You ended up moving. What was the transition that caused you to even move back to the States?
Well, this is where I always wanted to be. That opportunity to study overseas with the Rhodes Scholarship was something that was only going to last those 2 or 3 years. A big part of me didn't even want to apply for that